Hey everybody, thanks for joining me today. Look at all this goodness. I have made 4 art journals. They have a laminated cover. Only the front is laminated, and I'll show you how I did that. You can't tell it in these, but the back is not laminated. It has a muslin fabric sewn to the inside. I've left the strings from the sewing and some additional strings evidently. I have sari silk looped through the edge as a closure. I was thinking to pull it to the side and you could add beads to all of this. This is actually the binding. Left the muslin longer on the edges. A lot of the pages inside are longer than the book. I've put this together with the thought in mind that it would be an art journal. So the pages are empty. All of the papers are the same, with the exception that some of the scrapbook papers are different colors to match the covers. So I have the purple and teal, multicolored peach and mint green, some pink. I called this one an antique teal, and this one is a pink with blue. This one I'm not going to put in the Etsy shop, and I'll show you why later in the video. If it is something that you're interested in, message me on Etsy and you can certainly have it. I just will show you later on why I wasn't going to put it in there. We have a map page, and know that on this map page there was no way for me to get around this. The front page is the right way. The writing is the correct way. The inside page is not. I have tea-dyed music paper. I left the fringes on. Love that look. Heavy watercolor paper. Very heavy cardstock. Some corrugated packing paper. Magazine page. Watercolor or oxide ink stamped pages with some gesso. Book pages. Some thinner scrapbook paper, notebook tea-dyed paper, lined, more watercolor paper, some magazine page, more of the thinner scrapbook paper, magazine collaged with a napkin, heavy scrapbook. This paper, I'm not sure what it is. It came in a journal. Kind of feels like watercolor paper. It's a little bit textured. I have put washi tape on the seam of it to strengthen it. Some calendar page, packing paper, and more of the mystery paper. There are 18 sheets in each of these books, which is 72 pages front and back. If you're interested in making your own art journal, stick with me and I'll show you how I did it. Okay, so I have 2 of them already sewn and the backing's on. And I thought I would show you how because I'm sure the glare, these are laminated, but only on the one side. And there's no lamination around the edge. You know how when you normally laminate something, I thought I would have one to show you, but I don't. When you laminate something, there's an edge where it seals. This one, these don't, and I'm going to show you how I did those. These are jelly prints. Laid the side that I wanted to be laminated up. So there are 2. There's one on this side and one on this side. And I'm sorry that it's glaring. In between them, I put 2 sheets of just regular coffee paper. So now I'm just going to cut. Make sure I don't cut because I didn't get them even. So I'm just going to cut the side that's closest, where I can break the seal all the way around. I'll trim it up better in a bit. At this point, I'm just trying to break the seal to show you what we have. Okay, so I've cut the seal all the way around, and now this is what I have. And I'm just going to peel off this copy paper. And this is the back to my jelly print. So I'll trim up all the way around where it's even with the paper. And you have one side that's laminated and this side is not. And if you wanted to laminate both sides, all you would do is turn them like this and put your copy paper in between so they don't stick together, and laminate this way, and this side would be laminated. But that's how I did that. I was able to just, and I learned this from, I'll have to leave the link below, and I will more than likely look it up before I run this video and post her name across the screen. But I saw a video on it and I thought, well, no, that's just too cool. So I had to do that for these because I was really wanting to do something with these jelly prints, and I've just, you know, decided to do these art journals. So I'm going to trim these up real quick, then I will be right back. Okay, so I have them both trimmed up, and I was going to tell you the reason I didn't do it on a paper cutter or trimmers. I am not a very good judge at that. I end up cutting my paper, so it's easier for me to do it with the scissors. You can tell that, I mean, it's laminated, it's not coming up, and you get that nice slicky feel. And I was thinking for an art journal, and I watched a whole bunch of videos to try to find the correct way to make an art journal, and I realized everybody kind of does their own thing, so that's what I decided I was going to do. I was going to do it just however I wanted, however I would like it. Turns out one of these is going to be mine, because when I did the sewing the muslin on the back, I ran out of muslin and I didn't want to cut a whole new piece, so I just pieced two together and sewed it. So I'll probably keep this one for myself. Plus, I made the pages bigger. I didn't want to cut them down. I don't know, I might, but in an art journal, I imagine that you would like to have as much paper as you can, so that when you're playing and drawing, you can open it up and you have lots of empty space to work with. And then also another thing I did was I used every kind of paper in here that I thought would be fun to work with. I put really good watercolor paper. This is some corrugated packing paper I think is neat. Book page that I've watercolored and gessoed a little bit, but that's what they're going to look like. And then I'm going to double sew around the edge. After I cut out my sheets, I cut a piece of muslin that was a little bit larger than my cover because I wanted some of it to stick out from the sides. I wanted some of the fray to stand out larger than the book, plus figured that I would make my pages a little larger than my book. I like that scrappy look. I just thought I cut this one down a little better, but I guess I didn't, so I'll just trim it with you here. So I'm going to go ahead and trim it first. Leave quite a bit of edge on each side because, like I said, I really wanted it to have a nice edge on it. So that'll give me plenty of room on each side. And then I'm going to cut a little bit off the bottom. I didn't even iron it, or I feel like whenever you glue it down and sew it, it's flat enough. And plus, it's an art journal. It's not supposed to look perfect. Then I just took some of my yoo-hoo, however you say it, mainly focused on the edges and the corners. I just want to hold it down long enough that I can sew it. I did put some in the middle because this stuff I like, and it does actually hold pretty good, but I'm not going to be upset if it doesn't hold great, you know, because like I said, I'm going to sew it. So then I just place my sheet down on it, trying to get it as even as possible. And if it's not totally even, that's fine too. Smooth it down, turn it over, and run my bone folder across it just to make sure I get any big wrinkles out. And then I'm going to double sew around the edge. That's our cover finished. Just like that. I'm going to do the other one, and I'm going to sew it, and then I'll be back and show you how I put my signatures together. Again, I'm sorry about all the glare from the cover, but I don't know how to fix that. So I've sewn around these two. Now I'm going to work on my signatures, and that took actually the longest part. I made a template of the cover before I sewed it, so I knew that I would be beyond this piece, but I knew that was as big as as small as I needed it to be. And plus which, like I said, mine I'm going to leave hanging out. I guess it'll be mine. I don't think anybody else is probably going to want their cover to look like this, but I like all the raggedy, so I will more than likely keep that one for myself. So what I have is I showed you the papers. I'm just going to go through and try to figure out a good way, like if you were going to open it up and work on a piece, which pieces kind of match. I don't know that I'll be able to do that very good, but I'm going to give it a try. And I'm at least going to, you know, mix it up where the watercolor pages and the scrapbook papers and stuff are a little bit spread out, that kind of thing. But basically, I showed you the papers that I had, and I'm just going to mix those up in here. I have some that are shorter, but I liked, see, like I'm going to put that here because I think that if you were working on it open, this kind of goes with that. I think it would just be pretty. And see, like I'm going to put this where the blue, if you worked on it together, that might be nice. I'm going to try not to overthink it too, because that's part of my problem is I overthink things. These pages that I told you I wasn't sure if they were watercolor came from a journal that I had purchased. I don't know, I can't even remember why I purchased it because it wasn't to use. Maybe I like the cover, but I'm going to, because it was bound in with heavy leather, I'm going to put some washi tape in the middle just to strengthen up my spine a little bit so that when I run my needle through and I bind it, it doesn't tear. And I like this colorful washi tape. I got this. This is art by Marlene, and I love her stuff. I have my next project. Well, actually, it was supposed to be this project, but I got sidetracked on these because I have this attention span of a gnat, and all of a sudden I started thinking about these jelly plate prints I had done, and I wanted to make an art journal. So I've paused, and now I'm doing this. But what I was saying is my next journal is going to be an open spine journal that's going to be very colorful, very bold, and that was the reason for the art by Marlene colors, was to make that journal very bold, very colorful. And so anyway, I purchased some things that were colorful to be able to make that journal with. I'm just trying to make sure it's centered. I'm not getting too particular with it because, like I said, it's an art journal, and I think some of that messy is supposed to be, right? Or no? Am I thinking of it wrong? You should, if you want to do me a favor, leave me a comment. How do you do your art journals? Do you think of them like I do? You know, that they're messy, or do you like your stuff to be neater and more put together? You know, my journals all tend to be kind of haphazard, and most of that you could tell is because I'm not very good at it, and I like the messy. My life is messy. I don't know. Anyway, do you like that, or do you like neat and orderly? I like it all. I like the neat and orderly, and I like the haphazard too. I like it all. I think in my head one of these days I'm gonna be able to do one of those beautiful ones with all the lace and all the things. I think those are so pretty. Where it just looks oh, like a bridal gown or something out of a catalog. They're so beautiful. Trying to figure out where I want to put this other watercolor page. Now that I have these like I think I want them, I'm going to go ahead and put the other signatures together the same way. Okay, I think I have all 3 signatures like I want them. So I'm going to bind them together. I'm going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. Probably just use wax thread, which I'll show you all that at the end of what I did. I'm not going to have you to watch the binding process. There's so many tutorials, and so many people are so much better at it than I am. I hate to have you suffer through that. We'll catch you at the end when they're all put together and show you what we have. I was going to tell you, though, that I thought another neat thing you could make, you know, the papers that aren't as strong, that like I strengthen these up with washi tape just to give them some color. But another thing you could do is fabric. Wouldn't that look cool in this art journal? Maybe glue in some fabric, or I think that would look nice. And I think, you know, I don't know, would a fabric work in art journal? I mean, would you want that? I think anything will work. And that's another thing. I think whatever you do is going to be just fine. And try not to overthink it as I have. And you'll be happy with it. So anyway, I'll see you in a bit when after all these are bound, and I'll show you what we have. Okay, so I have them all bound, and I've put some sari silk around them, and I think they turned out beautiful. This tutorial is just to give you an idea of how I done it, but as I was working through the papers, and I thought of so many different papers I could have added, and it just put in what you like. Do you, and you're going to be happy with it. On this one, the one I think I'll keep for myself, the little sari silk is a shorty, but I used it because it has some little green flecks in it. And you probably can't see it on this, but there's some in the cover, and I just thought it was perfect. I'm sorry about my lighting. As you can probably tell, it's a different day. I didn't finish them last night, but I did this morning. And I did a 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I used hemp cord. I didn't end up using wax thread. I used hemp cord and did the 3-hole pamphlet stitch. I started from the outside so that my strings would be out here for 2 reasons. So that when you're working in your art journal and you have it flat, you don't have the knot to deal with. And you can hang hang beads or, you know, whatever from it. And then I just looped this through the binding like so. And if you wanted to, you could take this and knot it through like this, and it'll make a pretty knot. You don't have to worry about it slipping out. I didn't do that because I wanted it, like I said, to lay flat. I didn't want it to have a knot when I was working on it. I don't know that you would really feel it. Yeah, you can feel it. So that's why I didn't do it. And then I just wrapped it around and tucked it in. And like I said, on this one, I imagine I'll keep it for myself. It's short. So that is the pink one that I will probably keep. Here's the purple and green. Has some lilac sari silk. And the orange and multicolored, kind of a rust. Got some red overtones. And I know there's not red in this, but I promise you, it really does look nice. And then the last one, I kind of think of it as an antique teal. The sari silk on this one is kind of a teal. I put teal, when I did my jelly plate, the background, the base of it was teal, stenciled. Then I took a brown, because I wanted it to look vintagey. And so that's why I'm calling it the antique teal. Makes sense, doesn't it? Okay, so there is that one. Here they are. I hope you love them. I hope you like this process and it inspired you to make your own art journal. I love to do art in a journal, but also know that if you're not into art journaling, look at all the writing space, because it's basically a naked journal. There's nothing, no pockets, no. The only thing I did was on the book page, I did add watercolor. These are watercolored pages with some gesso on it. So I thought, you know, if you were stuck or a day you wanted to do something and you couldn't get inspired, maybe that having this much on a page would, oh, I can put stamps here and collage this. And anyway, so the only pages in here that have been altered other than the tea-dye music sheet and the tea-dye paper is this one. And like I said, it's been watercolored. It has gesso on it. And that's it. Oh, and well, I'm just lying out my teeth. And then also the ones that have a napkin decoupaged onto magazine. But anyway, there they are. I hope you liked them. If you did, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. And check out my Etsy shop. I will hopefully have them listed later on today. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time. Bye.